you'll see. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I am your host, Jim Sella, in studio with a possibly sober Jay Dash. I'm not really sure how he's feeling today. We got our Cork segment for you. We're going to talk about the Twins rookies, Byron Buxton and Miguel Sano. Two players I know nothing about, so thank God Dash is here.
Well, listen, there's a lot of prospects in baseball that we were excited to see make their debuts this season, and two of the most anticipated prospects were Twins rookies Byron Buxton and Miguel Sano. Now, Buxton, he was actually the top prospect coming into the season. He was drafted in the first round back.
Ahead of Corey Seager, even?
Yeah, ahead of
Good
Corey.
Lord.
Well, Correa was ahead of Seager at one moment in time, too. Seager
I guess once they come up, they're no longer ahead of them in the prospect
and then they
race.
just move up the list. But Buxton, he was drafted back in 2012, and that was the same year Carlos Correa was drafted, and these two were considered the best bats in that 2012 draft. And like I said, Buxton was the number one prospect at the beginning of the season. He turns 22 in December. He made his major league debut on June 14th at Texas, going 0 for 4 with a run and 2 Ks. Yeah, and I mean, he hasn't been that good since. He started out 7 for 37, had a double, a triple, 2 walks, and 15 Ks, and then he was placed on a DL with a sprained left thumb. He ended up missing 39 games due to the injury, including all of July. And then since returning, he's only 13 for 70 with 4 doubles, 24 Ks. So he hasn't adjusted to major league pitching yet. You look on the season, he's hitting 187, has a 230 on base percentage, 5 doubles, 1 triple, 5 walks compared to 39 Ks, and stole just 2 bases and 107 at bats. And like I said, he was considered one of the best bats in that 2012 draft with Correa. Correa got called up this season for the Houston Astros. He's hitting 274 with a 344 on base, 18 jacks, 12 stolen bases, and 310 at bats. So Correa has already figured out major league pitching, while Byron Buxton is here still trying to figure things out. But if you look, man, this guy, you could just see it in the minor leagues how much of a beast he was. In 2013, between A full and A advanced, he hit 334, had a 424 on base, 12 home runs, 19 doubles, 18 triples, 77 ribbies, scored 109 runs, and added 55 stolen bases in 488 at bats. Walked 76 times compared to just 105 Ks. And then in 2014, he started out a little slow and got injured, missed most of the season, and only played 30 games in 2014. All in A advanced, hit just 240 and 121 at bats. But he remained the top prospect at that point, coming into this season still, and he showed it this year in Double-A and Triple-A. Between the two, he hit 305 with a 367 on base, 7 jacks, 22 stolen bases, and 292 at bats. Took 30 walks compared to 63 Ks. So you could see he has major upside, and he is a 5-tool player. He can get it done in every category. Power department, he has the speed, he's great defensively as well, and he has a pretty good arm. So, I mean, he's playing good center field for the Twins, but he's just not getting it done with the bat. And if you look, I mean, they have Joe Mauer. He leads the team with a 268 batting average. That's for someone that played a full season. And then they have Brian Dozier out there, Trevor Plouffe. Eduardo Escobar's actually having a better season than most people projected, but they don't have much going on out there offensively. So it would be real nice to see Buxton turn it around here in the final month and play some good baseball for him, because let's face it, KC is 84 and 58 right now in the lead in that division, the AL Central, while Minnesota, yeah, they're 10 games back at 74 and 68, but they're also only a game back of Texas for the second wild card spot. So they're very much still in this wild card race.
Who's in that first wild card spot? The Yankees. Told you they'd make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they might be done in one game, though.
That's right. All I got to do is make it, and then I got 2 baseball predictions right this year. A-Rod 30 homers, Yankees making the playoffs.
2 out of 500.
I only made 2.
Yeah, okay. We can go back to those Neil Walker remarks. But, yeah, it would be real nice to see Buxton turn into the type of player that we know he can be down this last month and really give them some more offense down the stretch here and help them get into this last wild card spot. But one guy who has been helping offensively is Miguel Sano. This guy was signed in 2009 as a shortstop out of the Dominican. He's just 22 years old right now, and he grew out of the shortstop position. He actually moved over to third base. This guy is a huge power hitter. He was a top 5 or top 6 prospect heading into the 2014 season, and then just like Byron Buxton, he ended up missing all of the 2014 season with Tommy John surgery. But coming into this season, he was still considered a top 15 prospect, and you can see why here too. In 2013, between A advanced and Double A, he hit 280 with a 382 on base. Look at this though, 35 home runs, 103 RBIs, and 439 at bats.
I hear he likes the reefer.
Why is that?
Because he's from the Dominican. They all like the reefer down there.
But look, he has a good walk rate, 65 walks, but he has a bad strikeout rate as well, 142 Ks in those 439 at bats. And really, I thought it was going to be hard for him to keep that average up, making that next jump to the big leagues, because when you strike out that much, it's really hard to keep that average up. But like I said, he missed all of 2014 with Tommy John. In 2015 in Double A, he hit 274 with a 374 on base, 15 jacks, 48 RBIs, and 241 at bats. So he rebounded very nicely in Double A this season, and he made his major league debut on July 2nd, going 1 for 4 with 2 Ks. Not a spectacular debut, but it was a hot start for him because he started his career on a 7-game hit streak, and he had hits in 10 of his first 11 games. And if you look in July, he hit 297 with a 424 on base, 4 jacks and 74 at bats. In August, 278 with a 377 on base, 9 home runs with 26 RBIs and 97 at bats. However, here in September, he has finally slowed down a little bit, hitting just 222 and 36 at bats. He can still pick it up. It's early in the month. And he added 3 home runs in that time as well this month. So, I mean, he's not completely garbage this month. He's still producing a little bit for him. But on the season, he's hitting 275. So he's keeping his average right up around what he showed in the minor leagues, even though that K rate, look at this, 93 Ks and 207 at bats. He's almost K'ing 50% of his at bats.
Brutal. Sounds like Pedro.
But his walk rate is still up. That's what's helping him a little bit. 39 walks taken in that time as well. So he's playing pretty well. And look, he has 44 RBIs already in 60 games played in the big. So he's getting it done, and he's really helping this offense and the Minnesota Twins stay alive in this wild card race. Look, he has 12 multi-RBI games already. In fact, he went 3 for 3 with 2 jacks, 6 RBIs versus Texas on August 12th. That was his best game so far. And look at this, 10 home runs in a 19-game span from August 12th to September 2nd. So he was on a tear over that pretty much 20-game stretch. However, he's being used mostly as a designated hitter right now. Like I said, he was signed as a shortstop in 2009. He moved over to third base, and they still believe he is their future third baseman, I believe. Maybe they think he's their future first baseman. We'll have to see. He got 9 starts at third, and he played 2 games at first. But right now, I mean, like I said, they have Joe Mauer, Dozier, Trevor Plouffe, and Eduardo Escobar are really the only ones hitting well out there. And Trevor Plouffe is a third baseman, so you can't really take him out of the lineup. He has 20 home runs this year. So they had to figure out a way to get Sano up here and in this lineup without taking Trevor Plouffe off of third base, because he is playing very good there this season, and he's been good there for the past several years or so.
Well, where do these guys figure into Rookie of the Year in the AL? And who is leading, if you know?
Definitely not Byron Buxton, obviously. He's having a terrible start to his career. I still think he has the highest upside out of any of these rookies that came up this year, though. I mean, you look, there's Carlos Correa. He's probably the AL Rookie of the Year, I would have to say, because he's been killing it for Houston. They're in first place. He's really been one of the reasons they've been able to maintain their position in the standings. But outside of him, I mean, I'd have to look at Sano. I mean, Severino didn't get enough time in the bigs for the Yankees. You have to consider him. Devon Travis had a hot start for the Blue Jays this season, but he wound up on the DL, came back for a couple games, went back to the DL. It looks like he's going to be out the rest of the season, so I wouldn't consider him. So I'm looking at Carlos Correa as the AL Rookie of the Year, but Sano's right behind him, and it would be hard for him to overtake Correa because Correa just got caught up a little bit earlier. But I mean, Sano's numbers, it's hard to go against him as well.
If you don't know, now you know, fool.
Please believe. But if you look, man, look at this. Like I mentioned, Carlos Correa, there's Corey Seager, Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, Addison Russell, Noah Syndergaard, Steven Matz, Michael Conforto, Luis Severino, Devon Travis. All of these guys are rookies this season.
Jung Ho Gung, man. Jung Ho Gung.
Please believe Jung Ho Gung as well. And in fact, yeah, we could add him to this because there's one thing every single one of these rookies have in common. Not only are they going to be great players for a long time, but every single one of these guys are probably going to make the playoffs. And that includes Jung Ho Gung. So there is a lot of star rookies out here that we are going to see in the postseason, and that makes it even more exciting to me. And I'm just wondering, is Minnesota going to make it? Is Buxton and Sano going to be two more of those big-time rookies in the playoffs? I mean, there's always rookies in the playoffs, obviously. Every team has rookies. In fact, you could go to the Cardinals, too. Stephen Piscotty, Randall Grichuk.
His arm's still blown out.
Those weren't top prospects, though, necessarily. All these other guys are top prospects. That's why I didn't have Gung in there as well. He wasn't really a top prospect. All these guys were big-time prospects, all making their major league debuts this year, all helping their teams to the playoffs, and we're going to see all these guys in the playoffs. Hopefully we see Buxton and Sano there, too.
Slightly off topic, real quick. How the hell does Grichuk get away with not having an arm in center field and still being able to play? Like, how does that not affect the Cardinals' defense? It's ridiculous that they can do that.
It is going to affect their defense, and, I mean, they are struggling right now, and it could be a small part of it. I mean, their pitching hasn't been as good recently. They haven't been doing great with the bats, but that's part of the reason they have to try it. I mean, yeah, his arm isn't going to play well out there right now, but his bat, they really need in that lineup, so they're doing what they have to do. Sometimes you got to pay a price in one spot to gain an advantage in another. That's why I say the Pittsburgh Pirates, you need to play Pedro Alvarez at first base.
You know, I heard Alvarez, what's he have, around 19 errors this year?
Something like that.
What do you think the average for a first baseman is? 6 to 8?
Yeah, no, less than 8, 6.
6, okay, so we'll take away 13 of his errors. The Pirates have 20 more errors than the Cardinals and only like 13 more or 12 more errors than the Cubs. And I'm not, I'm just saying, like, without all those errors, people who are so afraid of the Pirates' fielding percentage, it's a little skewed because it's not everybody that's playing poorly in the field. It's just one guy. He just happens to be playing so poorly in the field, it looks like the whole team is garbage.
But back to the Twins here real quick. They look like they have a bright future ahead of them with
Torii Hunter. Dude's ageless wonder.
Yes, Torii Hunter is a beast. But with these with these franchise pieces in Sano and Buxton, I think they're going to be good offensively for a pretty long time. Not to mention they have Dozier at second base. But also they have some young prospect pitching out there as well that you should see here in the coming years, including Jose Barrios, who looks like he could be a top end of the rotation type guy. So I like what Minnesota has going forward, and it is nice to have two of the top 5, top 10 prospects in baseball. You just have to see Buxton turning it around, and that could really help them push into the playoffs here, getting another bat like Buxton has showed he can play like in the minor leagues, and get him playing like this in the bigs. It could go a long, long way for him.
Minnesota, eh? It's cold up there.
That's Canada.
Well, they talk like that in Minnesota too, fool. It's on the border. Don't you know your geography?
Yes, I know where it's at, and I know how they talk, but they don't say A.
Oh, northern Minnesota uses A, just like Canada. A?
The A don't happen.
I've heard people from freaking northern New York do it, because they're right across the lake from Canada.
Yeah, you heard people in northern New York do it. When
I drove up to freaking Buffalo to watch a Steeler game.
And you just...
Or wait, no, what did I go to Buffalo for? Oh, I went to see a D12 concert. That's what I did.
Yeah, just listening for people saying A, huh?
Yeah, everybody in the crowd was saying A. We love you, D12, eh?
Yeah.
That's how it went. But that's it. That's all we got for you. Apparently everybody figured out Dash is not sober in this segment. That's all right. We'll let him slide this week. Fans, if you got any questions, you can hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube. Keep clicking subscribe. Browse through iTunes, because we are slowly getting our stuff on there also. Peace.